I always thought myself better than that, you know, but I guess that's how they get you. You keep telling yourself that you're better than the rest of them, that you are different, better, but that's what they want you to believe, because for them, we're all the same, and that's how it began. Addiction, dependency, eating away parts of my soul little by little, constantly chasing that high at the cost of so much, but when you get it, when you feel it, coursing through your veins, it makes you feel like it's worth every single ounce of it. Fundamentally, there are many things you can say about me, and they would all probably be correct. Weak, naive, vulnerable.
I'm being funky, Pikachu!
But there's one thing you can't say about me, one thing I won't allow you to say about me. You can't call me a quitter, because simply, I don't know how to stop. I must go deeper. Hello, my fellow internet people. And I just want you all to know that this video definitely isn't a cry for help. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is Konami's latest attempt at getting me hooked at gambling for cardboard. But this time it's different. It's virtual cardboard this time. Based on what I can only describe as a utter bastardization of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG and OCG card game, Master Duel attempts to simulate the average Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game experience and the average Yu-Gi-Oh! Player's post-duel aggression. Here, it is only you,
Chicken bomb!
the opponent who you have no real way of interacting with, and an endless stream of Asian bots, hellbent on FTKing you with Diddy Dynamite.
If you're feeling suicidal, you've come to the right place.
So let's explore this fascinating game. What is there to say about the modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game? A lot. Too much if I'm being honest. When arguing about why the modern game is so difficult, most people tend to point at the new summoning mechanics, but trust me when I tell you that that is perhaps one of the least difficult parts. And I'm gonna prove it. Fusion summoning. You mix cards with polytype cards and you get a purple card.
You're pathetic. You're pathetic. Why don't you play a good deck like Invokes?
Synchro summoning. You mix a tuner and a non-tuner monster to get a monster equal to their combined level.
But I'm from Ohio, the white boy.
XZ summoning. You slap two cards of the same level together to make a black card. Pendulum summoning. You put pendulum cards on the pendulum scale and then you can special summon monsters from your hand or face up on the extra deck with levels in between the ones of your scales. Link summoning. If you have the requirements for a card on the field, you can special summon that card from the extra deck. Ritual summons. Footage not found. Very simple stuff all around. The tutorial does an excellent job of explaining this as well. Just remember, you can only have up to 60 cards on the main deck and 50 cards on the extra deck. So, where is the difficulty, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you. Have you ever heard of rulings? Missing timing, monsters not being summoned correctly, spell speeds, chains, chain blockings, infinite loops. Learning the difference between using a card, activating the card, and resolving the card's effect. Card effects being ambiguous, and it goes on and on and on. You will never truly understand how Yu-Gi-Oh! Plays. After one point you just feel it, and fall into a coma when Yu-Gi-Oh! Decides to prove you wrong in some way and breaks your feelings. There is also another problem with Yu-Gi-Oh! Reading. How do you feel about reading? How much reading will you have to do in order to be able to competitively use your deck and compete with other decks? Well, just don't think about it. Just assume that a card does nothing until it does something. Then you know that the card does in fact do something. And so, at the cost of only 20 minutes of your day, you will have learned how Herald of Ultimateness works. Also, this is probably the worst advice anyone can give you about reading cards. You might think that much like I'm a Dolce player, this game is way too hard for no obvious reason, and that might be right, but once you get used to it, you won't even be able to play solitaire without micromanaging your resources and hypothesizing the possibilities based on your next top deck. Once you get used to the speed, it is the attempt of slowing down that makes you vomit. That or you can always just set 5 and pass, at which point your opponent will pause, sigh, and exclaim with a deep feeling of sorrow, "God, please not another Eldritch player." Here are my decks, feel free to copy them and construct your own STDs by using them. This is my solitaire deck, this is my I hate the meta deck, and this is my main deck. Experienced Yu-Gi-Oh! Players might argue that these decks are in fact an absolute abomination. But they are my abomination, goddammit. Are they good? Maybe. I made it to the highest rank with them during every season. Which, if you play rank, you know this isn't actually much of an achievement. You might even notice that I only have 12 cards on my extra. Why is that, you may ask? Don't be thinking on that too much. You might also notice that there are a lot of Yuras in this deck. But you will be surprised to learn that I haven't spent a single dime on this game. Oh yeah, except the times that I did. Gems are fairly easy to get, and you can easily make some high-end and competitive decks before you run out. But if you want to support the developer, the prices are only about, what? Excuse me, what is that? Have you seen the rate of inflation nowadays? Never mind. Supporting the developer is cringe and you should definitely not do that. Just start doing missions instead. You can get about 140 gems per day, meaning 980 gems per week. You can also use my missions deck to complete the secret missions and get additional gems. Change your name to something like doing missions or something equally appealing and you might just find people kind enough who speak English and are willing to let you grind them out for a little bit. Additionally, you can partake in the events, which are also very generous. Solo mode also gives you some gems too, which I would describe as wasted potential. There are many great stories in Yu-Gi-Oh! And a lot of them don't have anything to do with the anime. Who is Genshi? And what impact did she have on you? Instead of answering these troublesome questions, they added 2/5 of a single good story and called it a day. The other stories basically boil down to, wow, look at these cards, don't they look so nice? Alright, here's some shitty cards you don't care about.
I will never dishonor myself or my friends by using drugs. That's playing a game I can't win. Honor. My anti-drug.
When you do have a deck ready and you're feeling confident enough in your skills, you might start climbing the ladder and experiencing Yu-Gi-Oh! In its truest, most competitive form, and find out how utterly broken it is. To put it simply, the current ban list is as good as having no ban list. Rongo unbanned, VFT unbanned, Smork unbanned, IO unbanned. But I am sure glad they kept totally at 1. Wouldn't want those pesky frog players getting out of hand now. This ban list of course results in 90% of the games being determined by the coin toss, as the ultimate objective of playing the game is making sure that your opponent doesn't.
Uh-oh. Stinky.
Which is why it is very convenient for my opponent when I win the coin toss and they somehow disappear during the loading screen. This of course only happens when they lose the coin toss. Very strange indeed. How has there been no ban list in 3 months is beyond me. Which is why I encourage you to follow in the footsteps of the rest of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community and harass Konami employers on social media, with the hopes of fixing this absolute travesty. Yet, you will be surprised to learn that this is but one of many travesties that plague the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community.
Alright, if you are, buddy, let's go ahead and get into it. Shout the patron, it is Alex Simo is one thick bitch. Let me see that pro crusty. Thank you for the support.
What the fuck?
It is no secret that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community could use some dating advice. And Konami knows this, which is why they keep releasing archetypes that, follow a unique pattern, but I haven't been able to quite figure it out just yet.
Boobies. Vaginas. Gorgeous.
It does, however, sell like absolute hotcakes. There is also another great divide in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community at the moment. I am talking, of course, about the eternal clash between the average old-school Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan and the modern-day Yu-Gi-Oh! Enjoyer. This conflict has taken many lives, and it has been the subject of numerous Reddit posts. So, I feel morally obligated to avoid discussing this subject anymore. I do, however, find it very funny when I play against someone like your boy Geralt.
Go back to mate Bilberry and apologize for being an ass. Quick.
Who is trying his best to play Dark Magicians while having to deal with my own modern spellcaster deck. Fundamentally, the game is very good.
What did you do with Big Chungus?
It is also the leading reason behind my constant trust issues.
Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague, and we are the cure.
It becomes even better when considering it's free, so you don't actually lose anything by trying it out, except a part of your soul, of course. Say, do you know what's worse than a bad game getting bad updates?
It's a collectible card game that is played entirely within ESO.
How about a good game getting no updates, which is my main gripe with this game. In 3 months, we got 2 events that had barely any effort put into them and 3 solo modes, which you can speedrun in about 20 minutes. They are adding a few cards, but they are not good. Also, where's the ban list, Konami? Do you want us to suffer? Or maybe you're trying to make us develop Stockholm Syndrome by forcing us to play in this absolute disaster meta while continuously leaving us with just enough copium to stay, hoping that things get better. Shame, Konami. Shame. Not on you though, on me, because it worked. I simply cannot stop.
Nothing is worth the risk, 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 nothing is worth the risk.
This episode was brought to you by
the tunnel which I currently inhabit,
and of course, blatant racism. I got a lot more cringe coming up, so stay tuned. But for now, have a great one.